shaping up to Kevin Hennessy. Referee quickly in there, Terence Murray. It's going to be a Tipperary free out for the original indiscretion. So 5 minutes gone. Ken Hogan coming from his goal to take the free. Down it comes towards Donny O'Connell. He's been doing so well in training. Gets his call up. Michael Cleary linking up with him. And Tip with the second point. This is a very busy start by the Tipperary forward line, and they're taking their chances. Oh, the high-leaping Teddy McCarthy lets it down with his midfield partner Brendan O'Sullivan, who's tripped by Declan Carr. Free to Cork. So just about 8 minutes gone, and Tony O'Sullivan with this opportunity from a free about 50 metres out to register Cork's first score. And he's put it straight over the bar. Scorer of 5 points here in last year's final, in this his 29th championship match. Jim Cashman against Donny O'Connell. Support from Cathal Casey of Cork. Neatly picked up here by Tony O'Sullivan. Hooked splendidly by Declan Carr. And away he comes up towards Kevin Hennessy against Noel Sheehy, trying to get onto that one. Tomas Mulcahy coming in as well. Ger Fitzgerald likewise. Bobby Ryan trying to mind the house and keep the ball away from the danger area. John Madden now crossing his own 45-metre line. Kevin Hennessy trying to come in and hoop the player. It reaches Cormac Bonner. He's getting a lot of possession, really causing danger, and eventually it's Dennis Walsh brilliantly away. That was all timing and a wrist action from Dennis Walsh, but it comes out as far as John Lahey, and he's put it over the bar. There's an awful lot of pressure coming in from the Tipperary forward line, and there's good second phase play, as they say in rugby. There's good support work.
Well, Ger, this is excellent play again by Tipperary. Cormac Bonner is posing big problems for the Cork defence at the moment, and Richard Brown will be looking to get a lot tighter on him. Here you see Cormac Bonner taking a few steps there, even maybe overplayed it, but the ball cleared out well by Dennis Welch. But excellent wing forward play by John Lahey. This is always a good ball for the wing forward to get onto. Snaps it up quickly and squares over a very good point. Excellent play by Lahey again.
Lovely stylish play by Michael Cleary, raiding down that left-hand side against Teddy McCarthy. Half blocked down, it still manages to get inside to the inside forward line, where it's met by Dennis Walsh. Out towards Colin Bonner. Bonner takes it neatly. Across to John Lahey, who switch wings, an easy scoring chance for him. He makes the most of it. He's in that kind of form this afternoon where he can really dominate a match. That is second points, and it's now 4 points to 1. Tip the leaders. Pat Hartnett again. Mark Foley trying to make an impression, doing so on this occasion, getting by Bobby Ryan. Hooked in the end, but it could have gone anywhere off the stick of Michael Ryan. Instead it's gone by for the game's first 65, and that was really dangerous. So Jim Cashman poised to take this resultant 65. Very high, very accurate. A point for the centre-half back from the 65. Both of Cork's scores coming from place balls, but now they're just 2 in arrears. Declan Ryan trying to advance, stopped expertly by Jim Cashman. Back to Ryan again. A little tap inside now towards Michael Cleary's wing. Sean O'Gorman happily recovered from injury now. Cathal Casey. Belted forward towards Ger Fitzgerald there against Michael Ryan. It's Fitzgerald going through on his left-hand side, stopped. The referee's whistle has sounded. It's going to be a free in, even though the Corkman had made some progress. Ger Fitzgerald clearly fouled as he was going inside that time, following a fine catch.
And a close and free for Cork. Should be no problem to Tony O'Sullivan.
It isn't. He's got his second point from a free, and now it's 4 points to 3. Very tightly balanced. Tip, of course, in this match, we're very anxious to minimise the number of goal-scoring opportunities that Cork would get. Well, Cork are hoping to get some momentum going in their half-forward line. Remember, apart from Tony O'Sullivan scoring from frees in Cork, none of the other half-forwards managed to score from play. Stalemate in the middle, broken up by Pat Hartlett. Neat pick-up, and it's fouled by Declan Carr. And the referee, Terence Murray, having to go in and defuse a potentially serious situation. John Lahey there, being wrestled, and Father Michael O'Brien going into play. Peacemaker. And attend to his injured player, who was Pat Hartlett, following that foul.
Well, Pat Hartnett's just starting to come into the game now. He loses the ball, but it's a very high tackle by Declan Carr, and he's lucky he'll escape without a booking there, I think. I think it's a significant error that Pat Hartnett is starting to come into the game in a big way for Cork at left half back. He's a very important player for Cork because they have been under pressure, and they're just starting to claw their way back into the game now.
Cashman's free. A huge one. And they're level with the equaliser. Jim Cashman with his second pointed free. A huge one from way out the field, making it 4 points apiece. We're midway through the first half. Jocelyn Hogan, a goalkeeper, has been beaten 8 times against Cork in recent Munster finals, 4 last year and 4 2 weeks ago. Cashman against Donny O'Connell. Donny's been playing so well in training and with his club. Declan Ryan, that comes off for Cork Head. Back to John Lahey, in towards Pat Fox, who did so well in the early exchanges. Donny O'Connell trying to go by, but failing to round Sean O'Gorman. Jim Cashman now coming out with the ball, seeking Brendan O'Sullivan. Oh, and there's a dangerous chop down that time by Declan Ryan, and the referee, again very lenient, not taking any names.
Well, Brendan O'Sullivan gathers the ball here. It's knocked away from him, and Jim Cashman just picks it up under pressure, can't strike it because Declan Ryan comes in with a wild swing. He had no chance of playing the ball, and definitely out to Cork again.
Mark Foley met it. Conal Bonner. Kevin Hennessy trying to edge that one forward to Tomas Mulcahy. Bobby Ryan getting in his way. It's on towards Mark Foley again. John Fitzgibbon hitting it, and it's taken in. Cork take the lead through the goal-scoring skills of John Fitzgibbon. Not all that brilliantly hit, but it deceived Ken Hogan. A goal the last day, and a goal again now.
Well, it's a scrappy kind of a goal, but John Fitzgibbon just turns onto his right hand, doesn't hit it that cleanly, but I think Ken Hogan should have cleared it, and it just dribbles inside the near post. It's a great break for Cork, and Cork won at this stage as well.
The goal coming after 19 minutes. So Cork take the lead for the first time in this match after Tipperary had made all the early running and looked the sharper team. Teddy McCarthy buzzing at midfield against Colin Bonner, who really hasn't made an imprint on the game so far. Up towards Ger Fitzgerald again, a second fine catch against Michael Ryan, turning on his right hand side and he's put it over the bar for his first point of the match, and now Cork lead by a goal and a point. Cathal Casey there against John Lahey. Lahey winning it, coming off Casey's stick. Declan Ryan hammering it forward towards Pat Fox, and Dennis Walters really after tightening up well on Fox now. Out to Tony O'Sullivan. Driving it forward towards Kevin Hennessy, who was standing waiting, and Paul Delaney just getting in his way, and Bobby Ryan coming across from his centre half back position towards Declan Ryan. Now John Madden steadying himself across towards Lahey, but it's favouring Cathal Casey the whole time. Took it well on towards Teddy McCarthy there with Colin Bonner. McCarthy seemed to be injured. Play continues as he pursues that ball there with Tony O'Sullivan. Colin Bonner, judged to have fouled. It'll be a free to Cork.
And Jim Cashman is going to land this ball in again around the square, posing problems for their defence.
Mark Foley trying to advance in there, stopped. Out to Tony O'Sullivan. This is a good-looking spell for Cork, and O'Sullivan's got the third point, the first from play now. And Cork opening up something of a gap, leading by 1 goal and 6 points to Tipperary's 4 points.
Well, as again a result of a free dropping in around the forward line. Loose ball breaks out to Tony O'Sullivan, and although he missed one earlier on, he certainly makes up for it with that one. A good point by Tony, and just the type of score which he excels at.
Pat Fox, a match winner so often in the past for Tipperary, sees that one come back to Pat Hartnett of Cork. Cork have certainly seized the initiative. Paul Delaney, driven out towards Declan Ryan. Brendan O'Sullivan, and that's Stoney O'Connell, driving it down to Cormac Bonner, having the better of his duel with Richard Brown. Inside, there should be, and it is a goal for Michael Cleary. The Tipperary goal has come 3 minutes after John Fitzgibbon's goal for Cork.
Brilliant goal for Tipperary. It looks a bit easier than what it actually was. Colin Bonner races inside the defence, gathers the ball well, knocks it across to unmarked Michael Cleary. And this is not easy, because in this situation it's very easy to knock the ball out of their hand. But in fairness to Cleary, he holds his head and bangs into the back of the net. And I think Tipperary badly need a boost of the goal at this stage. They're just beginning to struggle a bit.
They're under pressure once again, but meet it well on this occasion. Michael Ryan out towards John Lahey. Now Teddy McCarthy. Once again in there around the house, as they say. Mark Foley stopped splendidly by Conal Bonner, but assisted by Tony O'Sullivan. Michael Ryan trying to get it out. Ger Fitzgerald. It's stopped on the 13-metre line by Bobby Ryan. Once again, it's turning out to be a super match, as we always expect when Tip and Cork meet in the Munster Championship. Pat Hartnett, 2 points between the teams. Cork the leaders. Cross towards Tomás Mulcahy's wing. Over there with Paul Delaney, dropping it inside towards Ger Fitzgerald. Brilliantly stopped down, splendidly. And eventually it's gone off the Tipperary stick for another 65. That's the second of this match. But there was a great piece of defending just a moment ago there, and Conal Bonner right in the thick of it.
Great defending here by Tipperary. Tomás Mulcahy spots the unmarked Ger Fitzgerald, and Ger tries to turn onto his left hand, but brilliant defending by Tipperary there by Conal Bonner, I think. And Ger Fitzgerald latches onto it quickly, but it's knocked outside by Michael Ryan again for a 65. But I think it's important that Teddy McCarthy is starting to have a grip in the middle of the field, and Colin Bonner certainly can't manage him at the moment, and I'd say Tipperary will be looking at that situation very soon.
Jim Cashman, his second 65, and as with the first, he's got the second as well. 3 points for the dashing centre half-back. So there are 3 between them again. And I think that Tipperary may well be thinking about a change. Meanwhile, it's Cork who've made an alteration in midfield. Brendan O'Sullivan has gone off through injury. A hand injury picked up by Brendan O'Sullivan. And Pat Buckley is the player who's come in to replace Brendan O'Sullivan. I wonder, would Tip consider bringing this man in, even for perhaps 10 minutes? Colin Bonner. Brilliantly taken by Declan Carr. And it's over the bar. The stick there of Ger Cunningham, and there are just 2 between them again. Ger Cunningham today playing in his 37th championship match, a player of vast experience. This is the substitute Pat Buckley, stopped by Declan Carr, who made that last point happen. Pat Hartnett again. Another super cut inside towards Ger Fitzgerald, and there's another goal, and it's Ger Fitzgerald who's got it. Again, a moment of consternation inside. The backs are still complaining back down there that the player might well have been inside the small square. Ger Fitzgerald takes the credit with 27 minutes gone in the first half. So 2 goals in the first half in Cork and 1 here in Semple Stadium.
Great sideline ball here by Pat Hartnett, and this type of ball that gave Tip such problems in the drawing game. Ger Fitzgerald here, you can see him. I think he's just standing completely on the edge of the square, no problem about being in the square, and follows in the loose ball and bangs into the net.
Certainly the half-time team chat should be very well worth having in a couple of minutes' time from Tip's point of view, to try and assess their strategy and get their game moving once again. It started so well. John Fitzgibbon failing to control that one. Joe Hayes might well be considered for a place in midfield for the second 35 minutes. John Madden to Colin Bonner, who started to come more and more into the game. Well controlled by Sean O'Gorman, turning in the kind of performance now that he turned in last year's All-Ireland final. Running out as far as Declan Carr to Declan Ryan. An easy scoring chance, and it's put over the bar well by Declan Ryan. So there's just 4 points between the teams, and that's the first for Declan Ryan. Studied expression of proceedings so far, with 2 minutes to go to half-time. Cathal Casey coming across to try and help Jim Cashman, but Tipper raiding, and it's on towards Michael Cleary, onto Pat Fox. A move that was started by Cormac Bonner is finished by Fox and put over the bar. And now there's just a goal in it. Beautifully balanced, with another 35 minutes still to come. I think he got the first point of the match, and now he's got the latest. In towards Kevin Hennessy, breaks it down to Mark Foley. Hit by Foley, tailing to the left, watched by Ken Hogan all the way, stopped on the end line by John Hennessy, but there was Paul Delaney waiting, and he's hooked and stopped by the raider at top of the left, John Fitzgibbon, now supported by Ger Fitzgerald. And he's put it over the bar. Ger Fitzgerald now with a goal and 2 points in the match so far. And that was a super example of a player not giving up the ghost, chasing right to the end. The player in question, John Fitzgibbon, after Ken Hogan had watched it go out over the end line.
Well, here's the ball. Looks like it's dropping harmlessly wide, but John Fitzgibbon doesn't give up the chase, knocks it back into play. And in fairness, Paul Delaney, this is terrible play by him at this level. He had all the time in the world to clear the ball and simply threw it up, tried to catch it again, and it's knocked away from him, resulting in a very important score for Cork, just at a time when it's just before half-time, at a very important stage when the ball should be cleared right down into the Cork half-back line. And at this level, that kind of defending just isn't on, really.
The tip man who's down injured is John Madden from Lura, clubmate of Ken Hogan's. Cork go in at half-time, leading by 4 points. Tip made a very sharp start to this match, and it was Cork who eventually got a goal after 19 minutes through John Fitzgibbon. Ger Fitzgerald got a second after 27 minutes. Tip themselves got a fine goal through Michael Cleary after 22.5 minutes. And so at half-time, the scoreline at Semple Stadium reads Cork 2 goals and 8 points, Tipperary 1 goal and 7. Some people trying to climb in over the wire there just a moment ago to get in off the pitch itself, in behind the terraces, and vice versa, somebody coming in off the terraces in here to a congested area, the wheelchair section here of Semple Stadium. Aidan Ryan has been introduced into the Tipperary team for the second half. He's come in as a sub for Donny O'Connell. He's gone in at right half forward, with Declan Ryan now at centre forward. Terence Murray then restarting, following a first half where there were just 9 wides in all, 5 for Cork, 4 for Tipperary, and there's a total of 10 frees, 6 for Cork, 4 for Tip. And Cork with the first free in of the second half, just seconds into the second half, for an injury there, and John Madden is the player who's been booked by the referee for that foul blow on Tony O'Sullivan. Babs Keating has made his change then at the start of the second half. Tony O'Sullivan with 3 points so far, his side ahead by 4, and he's put it over, and that's Cork's 6th point from a free in all in this match, whereas Tipperary, all their scores have come from play. Ken Hogan pucking out. Tipperary considering another change very shortly. We'll tell you about that in a moment. There's a wild swipe, and Declan Ryan has been brought across here. The injured player is Jim Cashman. So 2 Tipperary players have been booked in the space of 2 minutes at the start of the second half. They've been really hyped up for this match.
Well, Ger, this is a high dropping ball, and Declan Ryan pulls miles away from the ball, and I can tell you he's extremely lucky not to be sent off for that.
Cashman's okay. It's Pat Hartnett who will take the free from his own 45-metre line. Tip now needing to hold their heads and get their game running again. Under pressure from Cork, with Tony O'Sullivan here on a tight angle, tapping, and he's put it over the bar. 5 points equaling his score in last year's final. 2 of them coming from play, 3 from well-taken frees. Dropping in towards Cormac Bonner and Declan Ryan. Opening up the broad shoulders inside towards Michael Cleary. Sean O'Gorman playing a terrific match. Down towards Teddy McCarthy, beginning to dominate again at midfield. On towards Tony O'Sullivan. Stopped by Bobby Ryan. Bobby acknowledging the foul. A little annoyed at the same time. Tony O'Sullivan preparing to take the free while Tip consider making a change again, and it's gone over the bar. Overall, the last half an hour of this match has well and truly belonged to Cork. Hayes is in, and it's a case of deja vu for Tipperary. 7 points behind the last day, and now suddenly finding themselves 7 points behind again. And the player who's leaving the field is going to be John Madden. He was booked at the start of the second half, limping off following the injury he picked up towards the end of the 35 minutes at the start. Jump for possession by Corkman in the middle, but it's a Tipperary man, Declan Carr, who should have taken it up. Now Joe Hayes, caught by the jersey that time by Mark Foley. So Michael Cleary then coming out to take this free on the 65-metre line. That looks well on its way. That's Tip's first point of the day from a free. And it's Michael Cleary who's got it. That's a goal and 2 points in all now. The difference, 6 points. Well, twice in the drawn match, Cork opened up a 7-point gap. Tipperary came back then. Can they do it again? Mark Foley couldn't take it. Joe Hayes could. Michael Cleary gets it up the second time against Cathal Casey. The referee saw a foul there. From here it seemed that Casey was trying to tap the ball away from the forward stick. Certainly was annoyed by that decision by Terence Murray. Cleary makes the most of it again, so in the space of a minute he's got 2 points to close the gap.
Good play by Cleary, who is the one forward at the moment who's trying to get the ball and take on the Cork defenders and get them to commit a free or create something for them.
Now Aidan Ryan, he turned the game in Cork and he'd do so again against Pat Hartnett. In towards Cormac Bonner, touchdown to Michael Cleary, and he's put it over the bar. A goal and 4 points now for Michael Cleary from Éire Óg Nina, and the gap is closing the whole time. It's now just a 4-point differential. A lovely fast score.
Yeah, just the play Tipperary need. Aidan Ryan delivers a very good ball in towards Cormac Bonner, who threatens every time he goes near it. Doesn't gather it himself, but Michael Cleary again fastest to react, snaps it up. And he had a chance of a goal, but I think elected to shoot fast and over the bar. Good score again by Cleary, who is proving very dangerous to Cork.
Meanwhile, it's Tomas Mulcahy raiding 20 metres out over the bar. That's his first point in this series. He didn't score in Páirc Uí Chaoimh against Tipperary 2 weeks ago. This one has come 10 minutes into the second half.
This is a very good score again by Tomas Mulcahy. This is what he's best at, taking the ball right into the defence, just like he did in the All-Ireland final last year. I think Tomas did the right thing there. He bangs it over the bar and keeps Cork with 5 points ahead.
2 weeks ago in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, in situations like that with so many goals going in, Cork players were inclined to go for goals the whole time. This is John Fitzgibbon. Without opposition, he puts it over the bar. 2 Tipperary men seem to collide as John Fitzgibbon took the chance and widens the gap.
Again, you have the ball breaking here. John Fitzgibbon doesn't gather it the first time, dodges outside the 2 Tipperary defenders collide completely into each other and giving John the easy chance to knock it over the bar.
6 points between the teams. Early stages in the second half. Tomas Mulcahy having just got his first score. Down towards Tony O'Sullivan, who's playing anywhere. Again, it's John Fitzgibbon raiding. O'Sullivan moving inside, perhaps to take a pass, but Fitzgibbon going in alone. Tremendous run in toward Kevin Hennessy. Space at a premium, looking for some room to turn, and he's got a goal! A delighted Kevin Hennessy, celebrating his second goal in Munster finals, the first this afternoon, and that's 12 minutes into the second half.
Right, great play here in the half-hour line by Tony O'Sullivan, who gets the ball into John Fitzgibbon, and again Fitzgibbon taking on the Tipperary defence, knocks it inside to Kevin Hennessy, who gathers it very well under pressure from the Tip defenders. He can't get up, he doesn't seem to have any room here. He's turning back out again into the forward line. and just gets through the swing as Hurley and hits it a stoppable shot past Ken Hogan. Great play again by Hennessy.
Back live, it's with Lahey, winding himself up with the shot. He's broken his stick, so with the half stick, he's trying to get it forward. Michael Cleary, Buckley, dropping it out. Aidan Ryan racing back to try and make it a Tipperary possession. Joe Hayes calling for it. He lobs it in towards Declan Carr, on towards Cormac Bonner, who makes so many things happen for this Tipperary full forward line, and that's Fox, who rifles it over the crossbar. Fox very much on form, 3 points in the game.
When that ball broke to Pat Fox, I thought he might have had a shot at a goal. They need it badly at this stage, and both Pat Fox and Michael Cleary have taken points there when certainly a goal might have appeared on the cards. I think Tipperary badly needed one at this stage.
Touchdown by Conall Bonner to Joe Hayes. 3:13 to 1:11 the scoreline. Sean O'Gorman. So 8 points the difference as Lahey takes possession. Paul Delaney. Michael Cleary has come out from his corner forward position, it seems, out towards right half forward, and Sean O'Gorman's followed. It's on with Declan Ryan now, 45 metres out. Slowly but surely they're pegging back the Cork lead again. Ryan's second point of the game, a case of deja vu once more. 7 points the margin. Tony Nealon watches. It's going to be a sideline ball, in fact. The ball has gone out over the far sideline. Pat Hartnett. Well cut up again, John Lahey. Significant that he's playing particularly deep at the moment when they need him to play much further upfield, but it's probably the reason because he's been put into his under-21 position of some time ago, which was dominating the middle. Fox. And a score for Pat Fox. So slowly but surely, Tip edging nearer to Cork.
Well, a good score again by Pat Fox, and they're picking away at Cork, and in fairness, they're not throwing in the towel, and certainly I wonder whether we think he's springing Nicky English at this stage to get the crowd a lift and get them right behind the team. Could be a vital inspiration to the team, which they badly need, because they are struggling all over the field.
Lahey being a bit more influential since that switch into the middle with Joe Hayes. Ger Cunningham coming out, and it's a goal! It's a goal! And it's Pat Fox who scored it! The fans are invading Semple Stadium. There's a lot of the match to go. A potentially dangerous situation with everybody coming in en masse.
Well, as you see here, Ger, ball breaking inside the Cork defence, and Pat Fox didn't seem to be ahead of the Cork backs there. Just got with one-handed flick, tennis style, to the back of the net. Fantastic goal by Fox, and just the inspiration that Tip might need. The crowd really getting behind him now.
Touched on by Teddy McCarthy. 30 metres out. A good-looking move by McCarthy, showing pace and athleticism, vision as well to spot. Mark Foley comes back, however, off Conall Bonner to Joe Hayes, and Hayes lifts the seat for Tipperary. Up towards Aidan Ryan, over there with Pat Hartnett, touched away by Jim Cashman. Aidan Ryan minus the stick. Buckley. And he's just put it to the right and wide. So among the many alterations, it's Teddy McCarthy and Tony O'Sullivan now in midfield against Colin Bonner and Joe Hayes, a partnership that engineered Munster success back in 1987 for Tip. Aidan Ryan up towards Pat Fox, trying to steal inside the cover of Dennis Walsh. Stopper Richard Brown runs on towards Cormac Bonner. Again, it's Dennis Walsh back this time towards Michael Cleary, and Cleary finds the target in super form. A goal and 5 points now for Michael Cleary, showing wonderful skill, a lovely touch despite the good defensive play of Dennis Walsh. Cathal Casey touching it on towards Ger Fitzgerald, the player was injured just a moment ago. It may well be that Conor Stakelin will come in. Player who can operate in the forward line with great effect. That's Carl Casey taking the sideline cut and he's put it over the bar. So there's a goal in it again. And that's going to be an interesting substitution if it materialises. Nicky English clearly had a little run around there, mustn't feel 100% fit, so Stakela may well be the one to come in.
Yeah, here's Cathal Casey, a beautiful sideline cut. That's one of the great skills of hurling, and Cathal has hit some very good balls today, and he just gets a very important point for Cork.
Well, they've come back from an 8-point differential. The referee has noted the foul back there. Wants play to continue. Colin Bonner is the player who's fouled here. And the referee now racing back to attend to Michael Ryan. This is what happened.
The ball breaking into Ken Hogan here, and I think Ger Fitzgerald got involved there and pulled back wildly on Michael Ryan, and the referee books Ger quite rightly.
Touchdown, it's a goal! It's the equaliser! It's a goal! Declan Carr may well be the one who touched it last. It was a sensational score. The captain. A goal to tie up the match and 10 minutes still to go.
What a game we have now, Ger. A high dropping ball to the square, and as you can see here, backs and forwards. I think it's Declan Carr gets an overhead flick right into the back of net. Fantastic score by Carr.
Parked it, breaking it down. Declan Ryan onto it. A much improved Declan Ryan in the second half, and it's Aidan Ryan now raiding into the gap, and he's put Tipperary in front. They led at the start of this match. They were pegged back, and the substitute now, Aidan Ryan, getting a score just like he did in Cork. There are 8 minutes to go. So now it's up to Cork to try and hold on to their crown. Pat Buckley coming forward. Still trying to make some headway, and he's put it over the bar. 3:15 to 3:15. Buckley getting a score. He got one against Waterford, he got one against Tip 2 weeks ago, and he's got one now here again today.
Great score again here by Pat Buckley, who was under tremendous pressure and manages to control his shot and score a very important point. But it's tit for tat, and what a fantastic game. Both sides now giving everything, and it could go either way.
Well, in 1987, when they last met in a replay, it went to extra time. I was in Killarney. Here in Semple Stadium, Ger Cunningham clearing his lines. Down towards Mark Foley. Runs on. Tomas Mulcahy trying to control it. Gathered here by Mark Foley again. Leahy back there doing a very useful job now in midfield. That was a very good switch. Joe Hayes up towards Cormac Bonner, going to race onto that one. Dennis Walsh, what a match he's played. Sideline ball for Tip. Well, we're about 6 minutes away from our weekly instalment, or so it seems, of extra time.
It could never happen again, could it? Every ball now that's hitting anywhere is ever so important. As Declan Ryan hit a ball in there, loose ball, and Ger Cunningham just belted right down into Tipperary defence. It's so important now that everybody holds their head, whichever side you're on, and try and find your man and keep pressure on the opposition. Both sides have all to play for, and it could go either way, as I said already.
Leahy. Got in field to Joe Hayes, who was unmarked. It's wide. Possession now vital, as you say, and the use of chances. Both teams having to capitalise on possession and minimise the errors.
That was a tremendous chance there, and you'd certainly have expected Joe Hayes to score from there. The important point now being is that Ger Cunningham has a big puck out right down to Tipperary defence. Significant Ger, how well John Leahy's playing actually in an unfamiliar position, for me anyway, at right half back. He's having an absolute blinder, and I think he's helped to haul Tipperary back into the game with some powerful clearances and forceful play.
Yes, he started in the half-forward line, had a spell in midfield, now, as you say, operating at right half-back. No Sheehy. Through the middle, stopped by Cashman. Towards Tony O'Sullivan, down to Conall Bonner. Bobby Ryan batting it away, chasing it himself, pursued by 2 Cork men. Helped over here by his brother Aidan. Ger Fitzgerald. Untidy play, it's Aidan Ryan who takes it on the stick. One-handed forward by Michael Cleary to Cormac Bonner. The racing Cormac Bonner, trying to turn Richard Brown, who doesn't let his man get inside. But from outside, he's put it wide. While he did all the great work. He gathered superbly. Brown, in fairness to Richard Brown, he never let him inside at any stage. Cormac Bonner should have scored.
He should indeed, Ger. Two tremendous chances for Tipperary by Joe Hayes and Cormac Bonner gone a begging there, and they could prove so costly.
Hayes against Teddy McCarthy. 4 minutes remaining. Michael Ryan. Dennis Walsh batting this one out to Jim Cashman. Very vigilant, chased by Pat Fox. Down towards John Fitzgibbon, trying to get inside the cover of Paul Delaney. Mark Foley wasn't expecting that pass in so hard. Comes outside to Tomas Mulcahy. Can Cork go back in front again? It's a lovely shoulder coming in there from Michael Ryan. Brilliantly timed. Joe Hayes smartly taken away from him by Tony O'Sullivan. Back to Ryan again. Kevin Henderson trying to close down his space. Semple Stadium at its noisiest. Jim Cashman against Pat Fox. Aidan Ryan racing on to it. Remember, they're tied up at 3:15 apiece. Just over 3 minutes remaining. Michael Cleary outside to Cormac Bonner, looking for his first goal of the day. Michael Cleary inside. Cathal Casey put in a challenge to Sturford Cunningham now, coming out, making a good stop. The goalkeeper comes half back, makes a fine clearance in a titanic clash. There have been some epic matches in the past in the Munster Championship, and this is another brilliant game. Tony O'Sullivan against John Lahey, 12 against number 12, and he's tapped it in and stopped by Ken Hogarth. So now what can Tipperary do with their possession? Teddy McCarthy takes it from the skies with the left hand, brilliantly so. Michael Ryan trying to put in a challenge, and it's gone wide. On my watch, about 2 minutes and 40 seconds still to go.
Ger, what an unbelievable game. Tremendous defending there by Cork. Ger Cunningham anticipated Michael Cleary getting inside and was off his line like a shot, a tremendous clearance, but also fantastic commitment on both sides. In particular, both defences are fighting out for every ball as if their lives depended on it.
Yes, a terrific match. Declan Carr, who got that super goal for Tipperary in the second half. On towards Cormac Bonner, our tip to engineer a victory here. It's Cormac Bonner in the clear. He's put it over the bar. The big man who came on in Limerick in 1988 to get a goal then has got a point now. They lead by 1. 2 minutes to go. Once again, the young fans coming in their enthusiasm. Again, the Gardaí trying to restrain them, but it's Cormac Bonner, his first point. What a vital time to get it, Jimmy.
Well, it's a great score by Bonner. In fairness to him, he's missed quite a few chances, but he holds his head and takes the very good point at what a crucial stage.
Now Tipperary cannot afford to rest on their laurels, just leading by a point. Lahey coming storming out of the right half-back position, launching another attack up towards Cormac Bonner again, against Richard Brown. Support required. Got from Pat Fox, is that going to seal it? It may well do so. Cork now will have to score a goal, it seems, to stay in this championship. Pat Fox, the scorer of a goal and 5 points this afternoon. Michael Cleary, the scorer of a goal and 5 points. A super performance by the inside forward line. Jim Cashman, his side who led by 8 points, now trailing by 2. Inside, it stopped superbly by Paul Delaney for Tipperary. Out to the centre. Lahey with a minute to go. In as good a Munster final as you could wish to see. Sean O'Gorman under pressure. Dennis Walsh not hitting it all that cleanly. Cathal Casey. Cork know what they must do. A goal is required if they're to win the championship, it seems now. Teddy McCarthy leisurely taking it down round Joe Hayes. Still Teddy McCarthy. Freeing, the referee's rewarded. 32 seconds to go.
Well, Ger, time is nearly up. Cork need to drop this one into the square and hope for a break, and all the goals in both games, they'll be looking out at Kevin Hennessy or John Fitzgibbon to try and bang one in here.
So time ticks on. A critical free then for Cork, and Tony O'Sullivan has had the word of advice from Father Michael O'Brien as he told them to go for a point or to drop it into the square. At the other end, Bob Keating and his selectors wait, watch, see Tony O'Sullivan drop it in. It's loose, it's hit in, and it's a goal, and now it's gone up the post. It was Tomas Mulcahy eventually. Oh, what an incredible finish to this match. We're in injury time. Cork almost saw the game for the taking there.
Well, sure, I've never seen anything like it. I think it's Pat Buckley knocks it across the goal, but it looked like it had to go in. just bounced off the post and knocked away by Colin Bonner.
Dropped in again, stopped this time by Declan Ryan, magnificently so. Up to the other Declan, Carr that is, on his own 65-metre line. Tip with their tails up, leading by 2 points. Sean O'Gorman, the All-Ireland champions, the Munster champions, are they about to lose their title? And Aidan Ryan can embellish a fine position here. The substitute has scored a goal! And that is that! The invasion of Semple Stadium. Aidan Ryan scores a goal a minute into injury time. What a great score! A terrific match, but it's not over yet. They're all running in.
Well, Ger, what a fantastic finish by Tipperary, and Aidan Ryan does ever so well here. It breaks inside the Cork defence, picks it up beautifully and hammers the ball to the net. But I think it's a tremendous tribute to Tipperary. They came from 8, 9, 10 points under one stage, and they fought back to fashion what will be a historic victory for them, I think, today. And you can't blame them. Guts, character, whatever you want to call it. They've shown it all today, and full credit to them. They've earned their victory.
Well, goalkeeper Ger Cunningham is under a lot of pressure this afternoon from the Tipperary forward line, and then every time they score, the fans come in to acknowledge the goals and the points.
Well, Ger, I think the Cork mentors and players will be very, very dissatisfied. It just isn't fair to the Cork goalkeeper or defence to be under that kind of pressure, and no matter, they mightn't be doing anything violent, as you said already, but the type of intimidation that you get when you're playing in that situation is very, very difficult to handle.
8 points behind at one stage, now leading by a goal and 2. Tipperary seem poised for their first Munster final win here in Semple Stadium since 1960. Teddy McCarthy hoping to spoil the party yet. We're well into injury time. Softly tapped in the end, and it's taken by Noel Sheehy. Good full-back play, not such a good clearance. Pat Buckley on towards Tomas Mulcahy. There's still time, the referee decides. Mulcahy firing it in, stopped. Whistle has sounded, and it's going to be a free in for Cork. Well, there's not a lot they can do. Trailing by 5 points, and already with 3 minutes, or very nearly 3 minutes of injury time played. Tip, who were Munster champions in 1987, 1988 and 1988, lost it dramatically to Cork here at Semple Stadium last year. Now, they're in an excellent position as we're well into injury time. John Fitzgibbon fancies his chances with the shot, and he's got a goal, and there are 2 points between them. John Fitzgibbon's second goal of the match. There's the shot from John Fitzgibbon. It was a pile driver. Ken Hogan just getting the stick to it, but it went in.
Well, Ger, Cork need no goal again, we said it already, but in this type of a game anything can happen. If they can just get the ball in once more, they could fashion another goal, who knows.
The referee has played 3 3/4 minutes of injury time. Michael Cleary, a scoring chance again. Tom Klein has put it over the bar. Michael Cleary with a goal and 5 points now. Goal and 6 points, I should say. And that surely now is enough for Tip. Lahey at right half back, rounding Pat Buckley. Buckley fouls, free out. We're in the 40th minute of this match, of the second half.
I've never seen anything like the scenes around the field at a Munster final before, Ger, and there'll be a lot of questions asked about how the number of people got in around the field and made it so awkward for the referee and his mentors and players alike. It just isn't good enough at this level, and people are entitled to better than this. What a shame, because it's such a fantastic game with tremendous scores, and it'll leave a lot of dissatisfaction, I think, with a lot of people.
All this while, Babs Keating has been pouncing up and down the left-hand side of the field, trying to encourage his forward line to tack on a few more scores. So the 5th minute of injury time has come. John Lahey takes the free. It reaches Cleary. Beating Sean O'Gorman to it, and it's over the bar. Nicky English pleased, not pleased that he couldn't play, but I'm sure delighted with his second half performance, as Cleary taps on another point. It's all over. After as titanic a clash as you could have wished to see, Tipperary regain the Munster Championship. they're Munster champions for the 34th time. We had 8 goals in all in the match. 4 points between the teams at the finish. Tip win the game by 4-19 to Cork's 4-15.
I had everything. A beautiful house.
Declan Carr, the proud captain, saw his team come from 9 points in arrears to win by 4. A splendid contest, a great moment for the Holy Cross Ballycahill man. I think Babs, and even Cork people would admit that that was a great game.
Well, I hope they do. I hope they're gracious in their defeat, as I know they will. The majority of Cork supporters will be. And the team management, they were very gracious to us after the game, Ger, and I hope that the Cork and Tip saga will continue for as long as hurling lasts, because there's nothing to equal a Cork Tip Munster final. Everybody know that. Everybody envy us, I think, on that respect.
You came back from 7 points down in Cork 2 weeks ago. How are you going to come back from 9 points down this afternoon?
To be honest, it was desperation stakes at that stage, but it just happened. We got the scores. I suppose, like every game, it's better to finish well rather than start well, and we just did that today. And we were entitled to get a few breaks. Cork got the 2 lucky goals again in the first half, and we got ours, really.
Did you think you had a chance when you were 9 points behind?
No, there was no doubt that it was a worry, but the fact that we responded with 2 quick points, and Pat Fox got a goal fairly quickly afterwards. It was back inside 6 points, it was back in manageable proportions fairly quickly. So, you know, we hadn't really time to worry, to be honest.
You can't rest on your laurels now, as I'm sure Babs has told you. Galway is next.
That's right, Galway 2 weeks' time. That'll be a completely different kettle of fish, completely different style of hurling to Cork. We'll enjoy tonight for what it's worth, but we'll have to look and see that there was a lot of mistakes and weakness in our play today, and hopefully we'll have to improve on those if we're going to beat Galway.
It was a dramatic last few minutes. I mean, you got a point, your first in the game, I think, and that looked like being a winner.
That's right. Thank God I got a point, you know, for a change. But the only thing about it is that the Cork forwards are always dangerous, and the ball wasn't coming into the full forward line quite as often as the Cork full forward line got a ball, and it was just a matter of who got the more ball at the end, and I think for the last 10 minutes we got more ball inside than they did, and thank God we made use of it.
If we're going to win it this year, we have to beat the Premier counties in hurling, you know what I mean? So we have to beat Limerick, beat Cork there today, and we have Galway next, we beat Galway, and you never know Kilkenny or Antrim, Kilkenny will probably come through, so it's going to be hard all Ireland to win, and it will keep the critics quiet for us, I think, if we do win it.
While there's no doubt that Tipperary, I think, deserved to win on the day, that they played probably more fluent hurling throughout the game. At the same time, I think that one would have to mention the fact that there was a lot of intimidation around the goal area in the second half, which was very unfair on our goalkeeper. In fact, Jerry was struck twice from stones and several missed them. So there was a lot of intimidation around the area that certainly didn't reflect well at all on everybody.
Michael Lowry, you've heard the comments there of Gerald McCarthy. He's a little bit unhappy about the stewarding. How about you?
Yes, it was a marvellous occasion, a tremendous day for hurling. We regret the fact that the pitch was invaded from the Killiney end. I have made inquiries on it, and what happened was that at half-time of the match, some supporter in the crowd got a big wire cutters and cut a huge gap in the fence and allowed people to pile onto the pitch. Now, we didn't have the same problem down at the Thurles end, so it was a problem which was unique to that end. We regret the fact that it happened. I do not believe that there was any intimidation of the goalie or any of the Cork players. It was well-meaning. It was enthusiasm and exuberance of supporters who just felt that Tipperary had come on top and they wanted to show their support for them.
Just explain the mechanism here. Who's responsible essentially for staging this match? Is it the Semple Stadium Committee, of which you're the chairman, or is it the Munster Council?
Well, we work in association with each other. Obviously, Munster Council make the fixtures and appoint the venue, and we, as in Semple Stadium, we do everything possible to ensure the safety and comfort of our patrons. We have done that for many, many years. Rarely do we have any problems here. As I say, we apologise for the fact that it has happened on this occasion, and we'll be taking action to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And might I say, Gerald, that we in this venue here have to comply and abide by the rules and regulations as are laid down recently in the Hamilton report. One of the features of the Hamilton report is that they have asked us to remove all barbed wire around the perimeter of the pitch, and we have done that, and obviously it's difficult to keep people out if you have only soft wire there to keep them out.
Well, fabulous excitement at Semple Stadium this afternoon. This year's draw and replay between Tip and Cork equaling at the very least the two games in 1987 when Tip finally won the title after extra time in the replay. Mind you, despite what Michael Lowry said there, serious questions still have to be asked about the stewarding and third list this afternoon. It can't have been easy for Ger Cunningham and the Cork backline, put under pressure from both on and off the field. However, that's not to take from Tipperary's magnificent performance, so let's take a look at the statistics from today's match. Now, possession of the ball around the middle of the field was shared absolutely equally in the final analysis. Mind you, Tipperary had to work harder to find the correct recipe at midfield, where Teddy McCarthy really played a blinder for Cork. Cork wasted more scoring chances than the Tip men, especially in the second half when they recorded twice as many wides. In terms of scores from play, Tipperary were far more prolific, exactly doubling Cork's overall tally. Having said that, a normally disciplined Tipperary team were guilty of quite a bit of fouling today, and they conceded 3 times as many scores from frees than the Cork men. Now, one other fact that might concern Tip for their next outing, the full backline conceded 4 goals, something to improve on surely. Well, notwithstanding that, after the match, Ger Canning put it to Jimmy Barry Murphy that the Tipperary fightback must rank as one of the greatest contests of all time.
My time watching Munster finals, indeed playing and going to them, I've never seen a comeback like that. And I don't ever recall a Cork team losing a 9-point lead in a Munster final in that fashion. And it was a tremendous comeback by Tipperary, and full credit to them.
Babs Keating and his co-selectors made some very useful switches, particularly in the second half.
They did indeed, and circumstances indeed forced them to make one of the most extraordinary switches of the day, where John Leahy ended up at right half back and gave one of the best performances we've ever seen in a Munster final in my time. And but those switches certainly seemed to work for them. The introduction of Aidan Ryan as well was a brilliant switch. As he proved in Páirc Uí Chaoimh a fortnight ago, he helped to turn the game for Tipperary, and his driving runs into the Cork backline were certainly very, very important.
They'll wonder in Cork, of course, how they lost a 9-point lead.
There'll be questions asked, Ger, about losing a 9-point lead. I think myself, Cork, the half forward line and midfield seemed to crowd a lot from the Cork clearances and puck-outs, with the result that Tipperary were able to get the ball away from broken play, and with John Leahy and Bobby Ryan, Declan Carr starting to come more into the game, their clearances helped to open up big gaps in the Cork full back line. And Cormac Bonner created havoc with his not scoring himself, but managing to create some tremendous openings for Pat Fox and Michael Cleary, which they took very, very well.
It was an 8-goal thriller, some great goals, one of them in particular by Pat Fox.
Yes, indeed. This was a situation where Tipperary needed a goal badly. The ball broke inside the Cork full backline, and again, Fox was the fastest man onto it. And in that situation, he's one of the best players in the game. And as I said, Ger Cunningham advanced off his line, but couldn't get there quickly enough. And showing great speed of thought, Pat Fox lashed it one-handed into the net. A brilliant flick, and as good a goal as we'd ever see.
By now, Tip had restructured at midfield. Declan Carr moved to left half forward, and he scored a really good opportunist goal to tie up the match.
Again, this is a score that Tip needed. We always felt that Tip needed goals to bring them back into the game, having fought back from that 9-point deficit. And high dropping ball landing in the square, and Declan Carr almost tennis style backhanded it to the net, and little Ger Cunningham could do about it. It was a fantastic goal.
Mention of Ger Cunningham, the crowd by now had spilled in behind his goal. What did you make of all of that?
Well, as I said already, I don't want to take any fashion from Tipperary's tremendous victory, but the appalling scenes behind the goal simply weren't good enough. From half-time, people were streaming over the barriers, and really, I don't think the game should have started until the time as the situation was rectified and people got outside the paling. It wasn't good enough for the Cork players, and it certainly I wouldn't take from Tipperary's tremendous victory, but it certainly wasn't good enough.
If you'd been playing out there, how concerned would you have been?
Well, in fairness, I don't think the players would think about it, and Cork aren't making any excuses in that score. What we're simply saying is that it's not good enough for a goalkeeper to be subjected to the kind of intimidation that you can get in that situation. I'm not saying it affected the game or the result in any fashion, but that type of scene we can do without, and it certainly didn't do anything for the game today.
All right, Jimmy, what about the Telecom Éireann man of the match? Some great performances again this week.
Well, there were indeed, Ger. In particular, I think on the Tipperary team today, coming from that big 9-point deficit, as we said already, it needed a performance of great character and commitment from several players. Michael Cleary at left corner forward, Pat Fox, Cormac Bonner indeed created some great openings. But overall, I must say, John Leahy for me gave one of the best performances I've ever seen in a Munster final, and his inspirational and wholehearted play, particularly from right half back, hauled Tipperary back from the brink of defeat, and I think he's fully deserving of the Man of the Match award today.
So congratulations to John Leahy then, and indeed to all the Tipperary players. They really played like champions today. Well, next we turn our attention to the other big hurling match of the day, the Leinster final between Dublin